The government has been compelled to postpone the scheduled session of the Lower House for the second time amid a lack of consensus among the political parties regarding the multi-million-dollar US grant MCC Nepal Compact. The meeting called for 30th of January was rescheduled for today in the 11th hour earlier, while Prime Minister Dahal yet again postponed the meeting for Monday, 14th of February, just hours before the scheduled meeting. The scenario indicates the confusion and the lack of confidence and consensus amid the political forces, more so in their ruling alliance, in terms of the ratification of the now infamous Washington-funded MCC grant. Good morning, I am Bipashna Tamang and these are the headlines of the hour. Meeting of the House of Representatives scheduled for Wednesday postponed for February 14. Prime Minister Dahal takes additional time to find consensus on MCC among ruling coalition partners. Declaration of date for local election generates enthusiasm in the public. Election Commission expedites preparation for local polls. Political parties begin formulating strategies. French President Emmanuel Macron quotes Russian President Vladimir Putin that Russian forces would not ramp up the crisis near Ukraine's borders. And South American champions Palmeiras club storm into the finals of the Club World Cup. The Brazilian club outclass African champions Al Ahly 2-0. Meeting of the House of Representatives, previously slated for 1 p.m. today, has been postponed for the 14th of February. The scheduled session of the lower house has been pushed by 5 days amid a growing rift among the parties regarding the tabling of the multi-million-dollar US grant MCC. Minister for Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs Dilendra Badu, after consultations with Prime Minister Shahbahadur Deoba, had asked Speaker of the House of Representatives Agni Sapkota to postpone Wednesday's House session. A notice has been published as directed by Speaker Sapkota regarding the rescheduling of the Parliament meeting for the 14th of February. Prime Minister Deoba had made preparations to table the Millennium Challenge Corporation MCC Nepal Compact in the Wednesday session of the Parliament. However, as consensus among the ruling parties remains elusive in regards to the American grant program, Premier Deoba has taken additional time to find a common ground among the alliance partners. Meanwhile, Congress leader Shekhar Koirala called on CPNUML chairman KP Sharma Oli yesterday evening at Oli's Balkot residence. In the meeting that lasted for around 2 hours, the two leaders dwelt on contemporary issues including MCC, local elections, parliamentary obstructions, among others. The meeting between Koirala and Oli has been viewed significant as Oli had separately called on the Prime Minister last Sunday. The Election Commission has expedited preparations for their local level elections. The Apex Election Authority, which earlier had held the polls in 3 phases, is now facing challenges in terms of time and resources to hold the election in a single phase. The most time-consuming task of the Commission is updating the voters list. With only 40 days left for the election, the Commission is now making preparations to complete works related to the list of the voters. Likewise, the Commission has to procure required resources and design and print the ballot papers. With only 3 months at its disposal, the Commission faces the challenge of completing all the preparations and creating a conducive political and election environment for the political parties. The Commission has said that works related to the amendment of working procedures, budget allocation, discussions with donor agencies, foreign observers, promotion resources and voters' education program are underway. Discussions are also underway regarding the possibility of electronic voting in the local levels of the valley. Despite its challenges, the Commission must proceed by considering the time pressure and risks of coronavirus to ensure a free and fair election. Following the declaration of the date for the local election, curiosity is increasing among the public about the strategy of the major political parties for the polls. Despite the future of their ruling coalition remaining uncertain, some leaders of the alliance have said that the coalition will be sustained. Meanwhile, cornered opposition CPNUML seems to be assessing the political scenario to make preparations for possible alliances. Nepali Congress President and Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deuba is in favor of sustaining the ruling alliance. However, some leaders of Nepali Congress have been calling for contesting at the local elections as a single entity. In such a situation, the Congress leadership is of the view that a breakup of the coalition could lead to alliance between CPN-UML and CPN-Maoist Centre. Other four parties of the coalition, Maoist Centre, CPN Unified Socialist, Janata Samajwadi Party and Rashtriya Jana Morcha, appear desperate to sustain the coalition for the local elections. The Maoist Centre and Unified Socialist appear prepared to contest at the elections together if Nepali Congress quits the alliance. Opposition UML has appeared firm in its stance of competing alone. However, it has the fear of losing the elections if the ruling coalition is sustained. In such a scenario, UML is likely to collaborate with parties outside of the government. The Janakpur Railway project has been the latest example of how government's glossy announcement without adequate preparations has failed over the years. Two rails procured from India for almost 850 million rupees has been grounded for the past 15 months. The government has not been able to operate the rail, facing the lack of railway laws. More in this report.
President Bidya Devi Bhandari had issued the railway ordinance last April on the recommendation of the then government that intended to operate the Janakpur Railway. However, the ordinance expired at the lack of endorsement from the parliament. On December last year, the government issued another ordinance which, in order to come into effect, should be passed by the parliament by 10th of February. Meanwhile, the government has begun preparations to operate the railway from mid-February. 58 Nepali and 26 Indian national have been trained and various appointments have been made for the railway operation. However, the fate of the railway is yet uncertain as the required laws are yet to be formulated. The Janakpur-Jayanagar Railway has been latest of many government projects that have failed at the lack of adequate planning and preparations.
The ill practice of changing chiefs of government units with the change in government has continued unabated. This has resulted in the ineffectiveness of government units. More in this report.
When the government led by Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deuba was formed, changes were made in the leaderships of Nepal Electricity Authority and Nepal Railway Company Limited. The Deuba-led government replaced Managing Director Hitendra Shakya with Kulman Ghising, while General Manager of Nepal Railway Company Limited, Guru Bhattrai, resigned after he was asked to furnish a clarification. Since then, the government has replaced National Sports Council Member Secretary Ramesh Silwal with Tankalal Ghising, removed Director General of Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal, and asked clarifications from the Chief Executive Officer of Tourism Board and Chairperson of Electricity Regulatory Commission. Likewise, the erstwhile government, led by CPN-UML Chair KP Sharma Oli, had appointed close aide to the National Investigation Department by replacing Department Head Dilip Regmi. These are just a few examples of government intervention in the units. The trend of the government appointing its favored candidates to replace those appointed by the previous government has rendered government units ineffective.
In our Public Voice segment, we had asked the local residents in several provinces how have they found the performance of their local representatives. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
कर बढाइएको छ सुविधा भने छैन
यो 5 वर्ष हामी चाहिँ त्यति सन्तुष्ट भएनौं
सन्तुष्ट छ गाउँमा काम भइरहेछ
यहाँ त अब हामीले हेरेको ठाउँमा वरिपरिको त अलि सन्तुष्टि छ
कुनै पनि राम्रो काम गरेको जस्तो त देखिन्न
उहाँहरुले आफैले भनेको कुराहरु पूरा गर्नुहुन्न
कुनै राम्रो गर्नुहुन्छ कोही नराम्रो गर्नुहुन्छ
खानेपानीको सुविधा छैन
जनताको चाहना छ त्यो अनुरूप भइरहेछ
Time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
And here's the question: what do you term the failure in operating the railway despite its introduction a year and a half ago? The options are: option A, government's indifference; option B, legal complications; and option C, political power play. The voting is on. Type any WS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And time now for the sports update.
Sports news.
The Martyrs Memorial A-Division League football that was stalled amid a surge in coronavirus will resume from today with a match between Nepal Police Club and Chasal Youth Club. The tournament was stalled after 19 players of Chasal tested positive for COVID-19, which led to the postponement of their match against Nepal Police Club last month. The match at Dashrath Stadium is slated for 1 p.m. kick-off. Both the sides have had a disastrous outing so far and will be looking for their second win of the season. With 7 points from 8 matches, Nepal Police Club, a football powerhouse from yesteryears, are languishing in the 11th position. Chasal are also in the relegation zone with just 5 points to show and at the bottom of the league. A win today will improve their chances of moving out of relegation zone, while defeat will almost confirm their relegation. Meanwhile, the 10th round of the Martyrs Memorial League will commence from Friday. Machindra lead the A-Division table with 23 points, while the second-placed Manang Marjang they have 19 points. Nepal men's national cricket team has departed for Oman to compete at the ICC T20 World Cup Global Qualifiers and the T20 International Series involving 4 nations. The national team, led by Captain Sandeep Lamichhane, was bid a virtual farewell by the Ministry of Youth and Sports and the Cricket Association of Nepal. Sports Minister Maheshwar Gahadraj and the officials of the National Sports Council and CAN wished a successful series for the team. Head coach Pubudu Dasanaike has included a left-arm spinner Sagar Dhakal in the squad. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.